Michelle, how's that look?
Looks great.
Okay, got recruiting, hiring, and your logo there too down here, the little owl. All right, so a quick thing on me. I'm Shawn Day. I actually used to own a residential home cleaning service. I had it for almost 20 years, maybe 16 years, something like that. I can't remember. But I started it in early 2000s, and I sold it in 2015. And at that point, the company that bought mine had a few investors. That's how I met Dan Platter, the bookkeeping guy that you probably see on Facebook all over the place. We started to buy other cleaning companies, and we got to just under 100 employees. And when we got to that point, I looked at the other guys and said, "Hey, this is insane. We don't know what we're doing with recruiting. We've got 90 some employees. We've got to figure this thing out." And so they said, "Shawn, that's a great idea. Why don't you do that?" So I took literally like a year and a half to figure out how to properly recruit in the residential home cleaning space. And we also have window cleaning companies and pressure washing and some things like that. But I put this thing together by talking to a lot of people smarter than me that have been doing it longer than me, learning from them, reading all kinds of things. And we came up with a great thing that worked for us and it solved our problem. Fast forward, we were at one of the conferences out there talking to a couple buddies of ours that were have over a beer. How are you recruiting? Well, we've got this great system, works great. We never had intentions on doing this for anybody else at that time. It was just to solve our problem. What we found was everybody's got the problem, not just us. And so, long story short, somebody begged us to help them. A buddy of ours, we did, we executed, and the next thing I know, we're recruiting for hundreds and hundreds of cleaning companies all around the country now. And that's sort of how I fell into the game. I've been in this industry, the home cleaning, especially residential home cleaning is my real passion because that's the company I owned at one time. So I'm going to show you what we use for our own company and a lot of other cleaning companies around the country. I the first part of this, I'm going to get into like a little Buddha type of talk. All right, a little mind. I hate the word mindset because everybody uses it. I'd like to use the word perception, but I'm going to show you a couple of the things that I see as the number one problems. And I talk to thousands of business owners a year, literally, and I talk to business owners daily. I almost do demos every day, and I'm doing things like this every day. So one of the things I am going to talk about is ego and perception. Perception's a big thing. I'm going to talk about the numbers and why recruiting is going to blow away whatever you think you're going to be doing in marketing with numbers. Recruiting numbers are much more important, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I'm going to talk about application flow and some things you can do for that. I'm going to actually show you a demo of our system very quickly. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I want to really dive deep into this stuff here. How we screen, a little bit of talk about interviewing, sort of a revolutionary type of way that we do it. We talk about it and never be short staffed again. That is the whole idea behind what we're talking about today. That was like something, no, but never be short staffed. Are you crazy? We're always short staffed, right? And we all know the horrible life that we live when we are short staffed. And so all of that I've done and lived too, but I've come up with a way in a system, proactive way that we can prevent that from happening. It might take us a little bit to get clients there, a month or two, maybe three sometimes. But once we get them there and we build a bench for them, it's very rare that our clients are short staffed. And by the way, as I take you through this, you're going to be able to take things from this without buying anything, without needing to do a demo with me or anything like that, and use it as you wish. And I've been doing this long enough that people hear me say this all the time. Take what I show you, try it on your own. And if it works, great. If you need to talk to me about a few things afterwards and you still use it on your own, great. If you want to hire me, that wouldn't hurt my feelings either. But either way, you're going to get something from this. Okay. So, what are the main problems I hear? This new generation doesn't want to work anymore. I hear that every single day, right? We'll talk about that a little bit. And I can tell you that my uncles that were World War II vets would tell you that my generation didn't want to work. We were lazy and everything else. I'm here to tell you, I actually baled hay when I was about 10 or 11. I had a cleaning job when I was 9 years old. Okay. I landscaped, I shoveled asphalt, and I would still, I didn't know what work was all about, right? And so it's a generational thing. Indeed.com. Indeed sucks. Horrible candidates. I hear that every single day. Indeed is a nightmare. but it seems to be the place everybody likes to go. No shows to interview sucks, right? We hate no shows. That's probably one of the top ones I hear every single day. No show to interviews. Okay. I'm going to tell you how you might be able to eliminate, not reduce, but eliminate no shows. All right. So you might want to listen. Um, now, if you are going and you're using Indeed and you get 100 applications, how do you go through all of them? You don't have time as it is because you're out in the field being short staffed, or you're dealing with the employees that you do that are short staffed. You're rescheduling because you're short staffed. How do you go through all of those? We'll talk about that. Turnover is always a big thing. Talk about that. And you're spending more and more and more money on Indeed for boosting and sponsoring. The free stuff's kind of gone away. Indeed has changed dramatically since March of this year. All right. I'll talk a little bit about that too. So if you're having problems with Indeed or you're spending a fortune on Indeed, I can help you a little bit with that as well. So I want to, on the other side, I want to give you the choices that you have. All right. And I want to just put it in, give you some, a little bit different perception maybe on this. I'm going to give you a quote here. They're erratic, entitled, self-centered, tyrannical, emotional, and worst of all, they're lazy. That is a quote from Mr. Socrates. You may have heard of him, but it was in 350 BC. So that excuse about youngsters not wanting to work or new generations not wanting to work, that excuse has been around for quite a while, folks. So you either can continue to say that stuff, or I can tell you that our clients that execute on the highest levels don't even think about that. All right. So I want you to change your mindset on that because it ain't true. I've got a daughter that's 19. She's going into her second year of college. She saved over $10,000 working at a pizza place in about a year and a half. Okay. I don't know that she's ever missed a day of work, and she's 19 years old. So there are youngsters that work. And I will tell you that there may be a little bit of different thing going on with the new generation because it's the new generation that we trained. By the way, they're most of the ages of the business owners I talk to, by the way, the generation we're talking about, business owners in their 30s, people in their 30s, in their 20s. That's kind of like the guys and gals in the 30s were the first generation to have a screen in their face. You know, when I was driving down the road with my mom and dad going somewhere, I was just told to shut up, look out the window, and shut your mouth. That's pretty much it. Nobody handed me a video for 2 hours on a road trip where I could just plant my face in that. There were no participation trophies in Little League when I was playing Little League. All those things happen somewhere along the line. It's not their fault that they're a little needy maybe in that type of thing. So we just need better leadership instead of complaining about it. What about these applications and stuff? And you get 100 applications, you can't look through them all. Now, what if I look at it this way instead? I look through 100 applications, and if I do that, I know for sure I'm going to hire one great employee that's going to produce about $80,000 a year for me. Instead of complaining and moaning and groaning about how am I going to get through all these applications? I don't know how to script. So think of it more like that. I also say the same thing about no shows. What if I told you that if you get 10 no shows, that means you're going to hire one great employee? So I had a client that actually we had, I don't know how many people, I think we hired her like 5 or 6 people in a month and a half. Really good cleaning technicians, producing $80,000 a piece. I'm not real quick at math. I need to call Platt on this, but I think that's a lot of dough. All right. That's a lot of dough. 80,000, 5 technicians. The only thing I heard out of her mouth is complaining about no shows. That's all I heard. So I told her, how many no shows did you have? She said like 10, 15. I go, you hired 5 from that. You know what I tell you? You need 50 or 60 no shows then to hire that many more people. And so that's the perception and mindset I hear every single day amongst business owners. And I think that you need to change that perception. Okay. I know you do if that's your perception and your mindset. And then if you're going to need to hire, if you've got, a couple people, if you've got 5 people or more, you got 3 people and you need to get out of the field and you need to stop cleaning and some people might not want that. That's okay. That's okay. But if you're trying to grow and scale your business, you need either a system or you need to outsource it to somebody like me, Hire Lead Chill. So I'm going to talk a little bit on how you can get that system so you don't have to pay higher lead show if you don't want to. All right. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then I talk, of course, about culture and core values. I can't remember what I have set up and how much I'm getting into that today. But if you ever want to talk to me about culture and core values, I will talk to you all day long about core values. I'm a big, big core values type guy for a lot of different reasons. I'll just summarize it real quick. Core values to me is the constitution of your business. That's how I look at it. What I see business owners talking about when they talk about core values is you better behave like this. It's for the clients so we can be world class for the clients. You better be this, you better do that. We want to be excellent at what we're doing and all those things. And all those things are probably great things. I'm here to tell you that employees of yours want to know what's in it for them. So I tell them our core values, which is an acronym for PLOW, PLOW, the number one is positive. And I talk to them about positive attitude and not for me, not for the client, not for the company. So that this is a good world class place for you to want to wake up every morning and want to come to work to. And when we step outside of that constitution and you decide that you're stepping outside of it, I might call you back in. We might have a conversation. But if you step outside of it and continue to do that, not me, you've decided to quit the business. You've decided to quit this company, not me. And so it's really important to frame culture and core values in what's in it for them. And I can talk a little bit more about that, or you can schedule something with me down the road. Here's the solution to your problem, though. It's called looking in the mirror. All right. Every single thing I talk about, every single complaint I hear about recruiting, employees, all of that stuff comes down to you, the business owner and leader of the company. Period. End of story. So you need to make a choice on how you're going to act. And I understand we've all been burned. We've wasted time interviewing somebody for 20 minutes, knowing we weren't going to hire them in 5 seconds of meeting them. I understand that no shows kill you. I understand you hired them, they started and worked for a week and then quit. I get all of that. But you've got to change that mindset or you're going to be stuck where you're stuck and it's never going to change. All right. So 20 no shows is good because you hired 3 people by doing that. That's the mindset you got to have and the perception you have to have with that. All right. I want to talk a little bit about ego versus humility. And Michelle or Sandy, I can't see any comments. So if anything comes out as I'm talking about it, feel free to shut me up and ask questions or let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
It's mostly me making the comments, but actually,
Oh,
one of the
okay.
comments that I was just going to say is that it is best to hear that I am the problem because I can change myself. I can't change
Yes,
other people. So,
that's it.
like, it's kind of, I mean, it's very refreshing then to hear that I am the problem with my hiring woes.
Yeah, yeah, and and I think if we can, part of the core values thing too for me, and I'm going to talk about it right now as well, is it's very unemotional. We get so emotional in this industry, right? It's so intense. We're exhausted, all those things. I understand that. I lived it. I was there before I knew what I was doing on the employee side. And the core values makes it unemotional. If you are stepping outside of these core values, which are attitudes and behaviors, that's really all it is. Your attitudes and behaviors, that's the Constitution. You've just decided this isn't the company for you. I don't have to hate you. I don't have to say you're terrible. I don't have to say, what are you doing? I just say you stepped outside of the core values. That's all. If you don't show up to work, that doesn't bother me as the owner. Our customer is going to be taken care of one way or another. The company will be okay. You're screwing over your fellow employees. And as the owner, I'm not accepting that. My job as the owner, simply on the employee side of the equation of business, is to make sure I do everything I can to make this a world class place for my employees to want to wake up every morning and come to work and love to come to work. Okay. If and I say it when I say one of our core values is positive attitude always, I explain it to people like this. It doesn't mean yay, yay, rah, rah, be positive. I tell people that work with me and when I own cleaning companies, It is a moral obligation that you are positive. Who are you to think you have a right to come in and bitch and complain about everything on the planet? You just don't have a right to do that. That is immoral to think that you have the right to come in and complain. That's how important it is. So that's how I look at core values. And we can talk a little bit more about that. But one of the biggest things I'd like to talk about is ego versus humility. And this is sort of a leadership thing of mine. One of the things about ego is usually it comes from fear and a couple other things, and ego will kind of blind you into getting stuck and blaming the employees, blaming the schedule, blaming the client, blaming the no shows. Remember it very easily. Ego blinds, humility hires. Ego blinds, humility hires. You can choose ego leadership or some humility. And let me tell you about ego. Here's some things I looked up for synonyms for the word ego: self worth, self image, centeredness, self importance, self serving. Anybody hear anything that's sort of a common trait in ego? You. Self, 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 self. That's all ego is. How on earth do you have any opportunity to focus on other people, understand what they're seeing, and having that sort of perception on who they are? That's a problem if you're stuck with your ego. And I guess a real life thing would be something with ego like this. You get somebody in for an interview, and your sort of attitude or your leadership is more about, you need to prove to me why you're worthy to work for me. That's all about ego. Okay. How about during the interview, we talk about why we are worthy as a company for you to want to come to work for us and to choose us as a company. All right. That's a little bit different. Ego is all about self, and humility has some other things. Humility is a little bit different. It's based on simple truth, empathy, discipline. You're open to learn. And a little bit towards what Michelle was talking about was being self aware, right? Looking in the mirror and knowing that you need to be aware of yourself. So you need to choose your leadership style. And I know this isn't about leadership, but it all goes into when we're interviewing, when we're talking to candidates, when we're looking to hire people. All right. You need to choose between ego versus humility. All right. All right. I need participation. I don't know if there's just a couple people on here or whatever, but I need participation on this one. And I need you to put it in the comments. So Michelle, you'll probably have to let me know what you guys put in here. But I'm going to click through. I want you to tell me what animal you see. And this is all about perception. And then I'm going to go real fast. I'm going to wait for your comments, and I want to make sure everybody comments on what animal they see. Okay.
Sandy and I both said duck.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Deborah or user?
Does somebody need me to show it just one more time?
Maybe show it again.
Because I don't see a duck.
Really?
Nope.
What?
Okay.
A rabbit?
Yeah, when I do this in front of like 50 or more in an audience, I usually get about 50-50.
Sandy said a platypus.
So usually people say either a zebra, a duck, or a rabbit. Okay. And it's usually about 50-50.
Where did zebra come from?
I definitely don't see zebra.
Yeah. So you get, this is all about perception, right? Here's something very quick. I used to put a mat on the floor when I go speak, and it would have the number 6 on it. And I'd say, somebody from the audience stand on the other side of the mat. I'm going to stand here, and I see the number 9. What number do you see? 6. And I sit there and go, you full of shit. I'm the owner. What do you mean you see a 6 over there? I don't know. You're the employee. Listen to me. When I tell you it's a 9, it's a. So we see different things. All right.
For sure.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the duck has the beak on this side, and the rabbit's eyes are here. This is the rabbit's ears.
Yep.
Okay. So
Oh,
you
I
can see
still don't
both.
see the zebra though.
I know. I'm
That's
like,
good. I put the zebra on there, and then I usually say, if you saw the zebra, you need to go see a psychiatrist because nobody on the planet sees a zebra. So
I
I
want to
had
see a zebra
I
now.
had one guy raise his hand and say he saw a zebra.
I still mostly see the duck though.
Yep,
I
yep,
see the rabbit now, and now that I see the rabbit, now I'm struggling to see the duck again. This is
yes.
like a mind trip.
So here's the whole point of this exercise. When you think that you know and you see, and because you've gone candidate after candidate, and I'm burning out, and this stinks. I didn't get into business because I love recruiting, and I didn't get into business because I love no shows. I want you to understand people have different experiences. People come from different places. People see things differently than you do. You need to refresh your mind from thinking you know what you don't know. You don't know what they know. So when somebody comes in, try to have that open mind and tell yourself, forget what I know and forget what I think I know. This person deserves my attention and could be the most important employee I ever hired. And that's
Sandy
just
said
a
that
small
this is
example.
also great advice for marriage.
Oh my God, yes. I'm going to tell a real quick story because it's a good story. And Sandy said she doesn't care how long I won't talk too much, but this story kind of changed. And I get people that come up to me and tell me it's a really cool story, and they're appreciative of it. I call it the train story. All right. And so this is another thing on perception. And this is a thing on how we treat other human beings. All right. And it's very important. It's changed my life dramatically on how I do things and how I'm able to stay calm and peaceful and still have things going crazy with business and personal things and so on. And I was on a train one day, and the train was making stops and picking people up and so on. And there was probably 7 or 8 people real close sitting next to me on this train, and some guy comes on with his kids. And there's three, I think there were 3 kids, and they were young, and they're all running around like crazy. And the guy's doing nothing. It's one of these where the kids like literally are knocking shit over. They're loud, they're not in their seat. And like the other passengers and I are kind of looking at each other, like, what is this guy doing? And he's just looking out the window, not even paying attention. Okay. And so stop after stop after stop. So I get off the train, okay, and my definition of life, because I'm a simple guy, is shit happens, then we tell a story. That's life, right? That's life. We experience these things and then we tell people about them. That's how we live our lives, okay? So let me tell you what the story is when I get off the train. I go tell 10 people, this guy gets on the train, his kids are knocking shit over. Everybody's looking around like, what is going on? This guy had to be the worst father in the world. That's exactly what happened. That's the story. And you guys do that every single day of your life. I promise you. Now, had I been just a little bit different and went up to that guy and I said, hey, buddy, I have kids too. I know I've been where you're at. Is everything okay? Can I help you? Is there anything I can help you with? What if he looked at me with a tear in his eye and said, I just left the hospital and their mother died. And I've got to explain to them that their mother just died. When I get off that train, what's my story going to be? Is it going to be the same story? The only difference between those two stories was me being just a little bit frickin' kind to another human being. That's all the difference in that story is. You do that every single day. Okay. If you don't think you do, I got news for you. You do. And it goes back to that ego versus humility. It goes back to perception. So when I talk about this, this is the number one problem I see with employee side of your business. How is it that businesses grow and grow and grow and others can't? It's because of these types of things and how you react and do things. Okay. That's my spiel on the Buddha stuff. All right.
John, can I cut in here real quick before I forget?
Please come on in.
I
Absolutely.
want to go back to you were talking about core values earlier. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on, like, with Michelle. Michelle's a big core values girl. I know her core values. Like I like she is hardcore on the core values. Michelle will sit down with her team and go through them every so often and say, do these still fit and things like that. And I've talked to other owners that do it that way. And then I've got some owners that I've talked to that they set their core values, them by themselves alone, and that's what they enforce. Is there a better way to do it? What are your thoughts? Because I'm curious, because I see both sides of it where
Yeah,
you do involve your current staff, and then other people, other times it's like, nope, I set these. These are not y'all's
right.
rules.
Great question. That's a good question. I think it depends on where you're at in your business and if you're changing those core values. That might be a little bit different if you've had employees for a while and you're going to change core values on them. That might be a conversation to have with some of those people. But if you, in my view, I'll take it sort of a step, couple steps back. I look at it first as what's my vision, okay, and so it kind of starts with me there, and I even take it one step even before that, and I think what's we always talk about my why, right, or your why. Why are you even doing this, right? So
Right,
that to me, my why happens to be I believe that all of us are God's kids, all right, and so if one of us is God's kids, all of us are. If one of us isn't, then none of us are. That's just my sort of foundation. So from that, my why in my life right now at 59 years old is my only thing on this planet that I try to do the best I can every single day is just serve God's kids the best I can. Everything else is his business, not mine. That's how I try to live my life. That's personal. I don't share that with my employees. That though, and this is super important, Sandy. There's this gap then. Well, how do I get that to business? Because business is most of my life usually, right? For
right,
us, how do I bridge that gap? That is the vision. What's the vision statement of our company? Ours is at Higher Lead Chill. We want to match great employees with great companies and help our clients solve the employee side of their business. That's a big vision because I tell my employees, what does that actually mean? That means that we change the world. We How do we do that? I got news for you. When a business owner is short staffed, when they are worried about the next day, they let's say you lose three customers. I'm still doing what I'm doing on Friday. I'm not worried about my bills. I don't like it, but I'll replace them. If I lose two or three employees in one day, the wife's going to be drawing up divorce papers. All right. People are going to be wondering, seriously, I'm no longer a good father that day. I am not a good friend that day. I'm probably not a good leader that day. All right. That's why our vision is so important and why, as leaders, we've got to lead these people to something bigger than ourselves. And that's the vision. Now, the next thing is, to Sandy's point, is how do we gap that to the core values, in my view? The core values are simply the behaviors and attitudes we all have to have in order for us to execute on that vision and change the world. That's not a minor thing, changing the world. And if you don't think helping people sleep better at night and be better moms and dads and wives and husbands and friends and sons and daughters and leaders, if you don't think that's important and you don't think we change the world when we help them sleep better at night, I don't know what the hell we're doing here. So that's how you sort of bridge it. And then the core values is simply your attitudes and behaviors. How can we make this a world class place for you guys to work? And that's simply by all of us agreeing to adhere. Now, to Sandy's point, I'll have you sign and I'll sign an agreement, not legal, not binding or anything like that, but it sure as hell is going to say whether you want to continue working here or not. That's not my choice any longer. Once you're hired, you have complete control whether or not you're going to want to stay here or if you're going to want to leave. And either way, I'm okay with that. Because if you're not somebody that can adhere to these core values, this is where, to your point, Sandy, on some business owners, this is where all business owners need to be sticklers, though. Wherever they came from, these core values, everybody must adhere to them. Now, things change. People have bad days, but one of your core values, or certainly your culture, is, for example, one of ours is positive attitude. I don't expect life not to happen. I don't expect you and your spouse to not fight, or the kids, something, your mom passes away, somebody got cancer. But one of our core values, and one of our, and certainly our culture, is to pick you up and give you a hug and let you talk about it if you need to. So you've got to have support when things aren't always good as well. That's really important. But you cannot step outside of the core values and expect to continue working here, because you're screwing over the fellow employees that you're working with.
See, I think like a big issue that some of the owners have, whether they have the core values actually written down or not, or they just kind of, that a lot of stuff in the beginning for a lot of owners is just in their head.
Yeah,
Everything's in their head,
yeah,
which, brings the 7 year chaos, as I like to call it. But I think where they have issues is they want to be a place where when an employee is going through something tough, that they are, sympathetic. But you get employees sometimes that it's constant. Like, how do you know when to reel in your sympathy because it's always something? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is
yep,
somewhere that the owners just struggle a lot because they care so much and they don't want to seem like they don't care. But the things that's happening with an employee is severely affecting their business.
yep. I'll give you a sort of a real life answer, and then I'll give you a more, for lack of a better word, like corporate type of answer. I have yet to talk to a business owner, and I'll be curious to see if you guys disagree with this. And feel certainly let me know if you do. I don't care either way. That's how we have fun, and that's how we learn. Um, Once you get that gut feeling where you think you should fire somebody, you're never wrong. You're never wrong. I've never been wrong having a gut feeling that I should have fired somebody. What I had made a mistake of is keeping them too long. I have never had the mistake of firing somebody I knew I should have fired and didn't fire them. I've never had that mistake. Most business owners I've talked to have never had that mistake. You knew you should have. Your gut feeling, you know the business, you know the customers, you know who you are. And then what happens is you wake up and you don't want to come to work because you know you got to deal with that employee. That's the pattern I see throughout the 28 years of me being in this industry. More than any other thing, that's the gut feeling. The sort of corporate answer is you need to decide the core values when they step outside of those core values. And I can tell you, the larger you get, the more you're going to want to go with the corporate thing. The gut feeling thing is going to be tough because you got to treat everybody fairly or you can get into some trouble as you grow. Um, so that's why the core values, in my view, are sort of the written documentation to mitigate risk in any employee trying to file workers' comp, or not workers' comp, but unemployment, or suing you or something like that.
Michelle, do you have your employees sign your core values?
Um, I guess technically because it's in our employee handbook.
Okay. I was sitting here thinking, I don't think I know anybody that has them sign it separately, but I feel like that there's a missed opportunity there.
We were so in the belief that these core values on our business, and Platt came up with this. It was Dan. You get your uniforms, your shirt, and it says we, whatever. We love customers. Customers this. Blah, 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 blah. We put our core values on the back of our shirts,
I've
and
heard
it
of
and it
people
was
doing
with
that.
us. Yeah, it worked great, and you wouldn't believe the feedback we got from clients because we didn't say core values. It just listed our core values, and they would ask about it. What is that? What does that mean?
I think
That's
that would really work for us, being that we just changed our core values. So Sparkling Homes is the name of my business, and our core values spell spark.
Yeah, yeah,
So it could be super easy to get that on the back of a
yep,
t-shirt.
yep, yep.
I
And
love
and
that.
it's not just to discipline employees, it's also to reward employees, right? So if you hear, if you're if I know a lot of us don't come to the office anymore, it's kind of remote a little bit, but if you are hearing or you're messaging and you see what's going on out there, and you see another employee say, my car broke down. I'm afraid to get fired. And you see another employee say, I can pick you up on the way if that's helpful or something like that. And maybe we can work something out with Michelle or Sandy that we can work. That's, hey, bring them into the office. If that's not somebody that's adhering to core values, hey, where do you and your husband love to eat dinner again? I forgot because I'm going to go get you a gift card. And here's why. So a reward system can be certainly something built out with core values.
I like that.
I do too.
Yeah, I can see your wheels turning, Michelle. Michelle's got all these ideas already. I can see the great rabbit hole coming.
Oh, yes.
Ah, hamster wheel. Okay, so I want to talk about the numbers a little bit, just very in general. Think of what we do on the demand side of our business with clients, right? We'll go back and we'll fix things. We'll go back and we'll re-clean things. We'll reschedule them because Junior's sick. We will jump through walls for our clients, right? And our employee side, we're kind of like not super flexible. You've got to do this. We're a little bit more stringent. We hate recruiting. We hate interviewing and all that stuff. Okay. Let's make some assumptions here. And I think I'm relatively close on the numbers here, just from a guy that owns a bookkeeping company that tells me things and some other things like that. So let's say that an average client is worth about 10 grand just to make the numbers easy. And that's probably not too far off, whether they're monthly, every other week, or whatever it is. Okay. That's the number. $10,000 in revenue is what an average one client brings in. One installer, I didn't change that. It should have been cleaning technicians, or an installer for a window cleaning company or something like that. But let's say one of your cleaning technicians produces about $80,000 of revenue, which isn't too far off. Some can go up to 100,000, depending if they're full time and working 35 hours every week. So they're bringing in $80,000 of revenue. And then we'll go on an assumption that your net profit margin's 20%. Some might be less, 10%, whatever it is. Okay. So what does that mean in reality? 20% of 10,000 is $2,000. That's the average one client profit, bottom line after paying all your bills. One cleaning technician is worth $16,000 a year after paying all your bills. That, folks, is 8 times more valuable than one of your clients. And you haven't given a gift card to your employee in a while, yet you'll reschedule and screw up your entire day for Mrs. Jones for $179 cleaning. All right. You need to think about this clearly. When you're interviewing and you hire somebody, you just made a $16,000 sale. Actually, you made an $80,000 sale, is what you made. I'm going to go back one here. You made an $80,000 sale. That's the biggest sale of your life. When people come in to interview with me, and I don't interview anymore, but when I used to interview, I stood by the door. I had a name tag on, and I opened that door when somebody was walking through it. And I said, "Hi, my name's Shawn. What's your name?" And I would put a name tag on them after writing down their name and told them, "You are so important. I don't want to ever forget your name. I've got coffee, tea, energy drinks, water, soda. I've got fruit over here. What can I serve you?" And I'd serve them food. If somebody called you and said, "I'm the president of a homeowners association with 75 homes here, and we're building another 300 over the next couple of years, and we had a meeting last night. We want to get one cleaning company to come in every week and clean the houses, and they're going to go with whoever I tell them to go with. There'll probably be 20 that'll commit to this for sure by next week." You wouldn't sleep that night. You'd be rehearsing in a mirror what you're going to tell them. "Do you mind if I come to the office tomorrow?" You're going to have something. That office will be spotless. You'd have your nails done, your hair done, everything else. For 2000, gosh darn it, for $2,000, that's what you do. What do you do for 16 grand when somebody comes in to interview? This is bullshit. That's real life numbers. And yet think about how we look at this and how we do things for these people.
It is wild to think about that.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Whenever I would have a customer that would push on what we charged, my first response was always, it's because of what we pay.
Yep,
because if our employees are not happy, you will not be happy.
Mhm.
that's
Um,
it.
so I kind of always embrace that, but only to a very small extent now, I'm realizing, because that is a profound difference.
And these are reality numbers. This isn't like pie in the sky stuff. I remember Dan and I, we had a window cleaning company in Minneapolis, and this was in 2017-ish, 2018-ish, and they were looking to hire dozens of window cleaning technicians, dozens and dozens. And I said, well, you're going to need to spend like thousands of dollars a month in boosting. It costs $1,000 in boosting on Indeed to find one good window cleaner,
My
not a
gosh.
month to find one good window cleaner. We hired 44 window cleaners in 2.5 months.
Oh my gosh.
Him and I went back and forth for like weeks. I go, you've got to spend more money. And here's what happened from that. Dan, and he talks about it today. Dan realizes when you look on, and he does books for all kinds of maid services, probably 80 or 90 or 100,
He
maybe
does
more.
ours.
Yeah. So he does he knows the numbers. He will tell you without a doubt when he sees the books of those that are taking care of recruiting and spending money on recruiting, not like, oh, I had to spend $350 on recruit, not that. Your graph on your revenue is almost like a rocket ship because of what? One employee gets you $80,000 of revenue
Mhm.
on the marketing and demand side. Because what do we love how many recurring clients we've got. We'll tell everybody on the planet, this is how many recurring clients we have. This is what I do every single month in revenue. This is what I charge per cleaning. I do this on a deep. We don't sit there and say how much we an employee makes for us. We don't brag about our employee side. We don't brag on the capacity. We're fully staffed all the time. That's more important because when you spend money on marketing, your graph is like this. It kind of goes up a little bit, comes down, comes up a little bit. It's much more longer tail. When you hire people, that money pretty much comes in instantly because they're going out and they're doing 2 cleanings every day or whatever your business model is, but they're doing $80,000 of revenue. That's big, big money. So hopefully that hits home a little bit, maybe changes some things on the way that you invest in recruiting, invest in a system, how you're going to do things. And I'll go through that on the next part of this little whatever we're calling this. What are we calling this? A webinar or whatever the hell we're calling this? Shawn
I
talking.
called it a crossover event because Rescue was
All right.
hosting or presenting. So it's, yeah, that's
Awesome.
where it landed
I'll,
in the verbiage.
I'm gonna bring this back up so that you'll be able to QR code on how to set something up with me if you want to talk to me about, hey, can you look over my job ad? Can you show me I want to sign up, whatever it is, okay? So you'll have this QR code. I'll bring it up again at the end. But I want to pop out of here real quick, and I want to get back into what the system kind of looks like. Let me do this. So very quickly, one of the first things that I have clients do is I have them fill out this form that we call a profile form. Now, as I'm talking about this, you can do these things on your own. So I'm not saying that you've got to buy anything from us. So there's reasons that I do this. It's a recruiting system. So as I say these things, take some notes, pause, whatever you got to do if you're doing the recording here. You want to do a profile form on your company. A lot of us when we started our company said this is a good place to start because we did some demographics. Maybe this is a dual income market with $80,000 average income. This sounds like a cleaning, great for our market. This is a good place to start a cleaning company. Nobody does this for the employees. Where do you find your employees after that, right? So one of the things that we do when somebody comes to us is we research their labor market. When we had a bunch of cleaning companies with Dan and I that we were running and operating around the country, we were in like 6 different states with 11 different cleaning companies, just under 100 employees. When we looked to buy another cleaning company, I would research the labor market. Here's why. Some parts of the country use the word maids. Most parts of the country do not use the word maids. So if you're in Texas, for example, you're going to be using the word maids in Texas. All right. Maids on a Mission is one of our clients. Buckets and Bows Maid Service, one of our clients. Maids, they're all in Texas. Holly Moore is more maids and more. Maids. If you did that in New England states, you'd lose about 40% of your application flow. They don't use the word maids there. It's a lot like soda, pop,
Mhm.
tennis shoe, sneaker. So the other thing about that is it's really hard for ChatGPT and AI to know that about Indeed, about Google, about Facebook. It will give you in general what it thinks would be good keywords to use in a job ad. And they're probably good keywords. But right now, Google, who we use, and you'll see our clients' jobs listed in Google, Facebook, social media, we all do that. And then, of course, Indeed is the big daddy of them all, right? We all use Indeed pretty much. They are all hyper protective of their data. ChatGPT, Claude, and the rest of the gang does not have API access to go and knock on Google's door and say, Google, in Cleveland, Ohio, in a 25-mile radius, what are the keywords that those specific candidates on their phone are clicking in? If it tells you to use the word maids in Cleveland, Ohio, you're going to lose application flow. And it cannot. Indeed, knows exactly what your candidates are clicking into their phones when they're applying for a job in a 25-mile radius. And if you don't have that dialed in, you're going to lose application flow. I've got access to all that. You can use ZipRecruiter for free and look at some of that stuff. Look at competitors that are boosting and sponsoring, maybe get some ideas when they are listed higher than your job, when you're acting like a candidate and looking for a job in your area. Maybe see some keywords they're using that are ranking higher than you and use them in your job ad. That's how you need to research your labor market and figure out those keywords because keywords still matter. Okay. Any questions about that? All right.
It's funny that you said that because that's the same issue that we ran into with rescue.
Mhm.
Because like I was not there was a little tiny breakdown in communication over the last, I don't know, 6 years. Um, I thought the website girl was doing the SEO. The SEO girl thought Courtney took care of the SEO. Courtney thought nobody was doing our SEO.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I start learning and researching and, doing the thing that I do as the chaos coordinator that I am. And I realize that in general, across the nation and even to the extent of the world, some because we do have worldwide clients, most people type in cleaning business instead of maid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had maid service through all of our content. And I had to go in with the new website and the new branding and redo all of the content. And it has been insane
Yeah.
just what that one change did.
Absolutely. And it's really important to have that SEO on your jobs or career tab on your website. That's what Google scrapes for.
Ah, okay.
That's a difference too.
Okay, good to know.
And I'm coming out actually working on something right now, and it's the same as Michelle. It's sort of in the hamster wheel right now, and I'm trying to organize it and how I want to present this on how you can get listed in Google here. Green Sweep is a client of ours, Molly Moran. Okay. And if you were to put in house cleaning jobs in Albuquerque, or if you're in Albuquerque near me, you want to show up on the 3-pack here. And she does because we know how to do sort of the SEO for Google to pick it up. You can't sponsor a job necessarily on Google to show up here. It's scraping your website and it's scraping our career page and our job page. So that's another thing to think about. So the other thing we do for you is we're going to put together a career page. If you don't have a website that has a job or career or join our team, something like that, you desperately need to put something together because you're not going to show up at all on Google. Indeed will punish you as well. Indeed, it's changed as of March of this year, 2026. They want to make sure that you have a career page and that you have an outstanding candidate experience with XYZ cleaning. So they're very, 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 very in tune to whether the candidates that are coming to you, are you getting back to them immediately or not? If you're not, they're punishing you. Are they getting hired or not? Are they getting asked to interview or not? They want to know those things and they're able to track some of that. With us, they're able to track it big time because we feed it to them. And I want them to know that we are acting very quickly for candidates. So if you get 100 candidates sitting in your Indeed account and you don't get back to somebody in like a week or less, they're going to penalize you for that, even if you're boosting and sponsoring. The companies that get back to those people quickly, you move them through the sort of pipeline and let them know if they're hired or not. Those companies are going to get more application flow and better quality applicants. That's Indeed's algorithm change as of March 2026. Very
That is
difficult to do that.
interesting.
Good to know.
Uh,
I did not realize all of that had changed.
Big time, big time. So, with that said, you really want to get that career page lined up and you want to make sure that you only have like one place where they can apply. So, for our clients, we had to tell them don't have a form on your page, have our career page where so Noriko's a client of ours, when they go to your website and they go to join our team, there can't be a form and then apply now that goes to our career page for our clients. So you don't want them to do that and then go to some other place. You want it to be very, very one place and easy. You don't want them to have to click 3 different times to apply. Indeed will punish you for that. Indeed will actually look at your website, algorithms will, and determine whether or not you're easy to apply for. I mean, it's intense what they're up to, and it's only getting more and more and more. So our system does all of that and it feeds it for our clients. They don't have to worry about it. So you just
Okay,
want to make sure that it's easy for people to apply.
so on Indeed, it gives the option to bring them to your website to fill out the application. So I shouldn't be having them do that.
I don't know because we don't do it that way anymore with our application tracking system. So I'm not sure. I'd call your rep and ask them.
Okay.
I would call your rep 3 different times though on different days because you'll get 3 different answers. Right? How many times
Yeah,
does that happen with Indeed?
yeah, for sure.
I just don't know because I don't we don't do it that way because we've got the application tracking system.
So I want to
Gotcha.
make sure I'm following this right. Okay, so you guys build the application page, like the one we're looking at on the screen. That's on
This
the
is separate than the website. Your website needs to have a tab that says careers or jobs or join our team, something like that. And then you can have whatever you want on there, but it has to have a link, our clients at least. You can have what you want on there, except the only place that a job seeker that is on that website of yours on that particular page, the only way they can apply is by clicking a link that redirects them to our career page that we created for you.
okay, so there's a specific like landing career
Link.
page from the
Yeah,
owner website to inside of the system. That's how they get into the 18.
correct.
Okay, now I'm with you.
And so we also offer our clients QR codes and links to this page that we create for them. So, and we do social media stuff. You can do social media stuff with a link. You can do QR codes on things, whatever, give them to employees to pass out, whatever you want to do. So that wherever a job seeker finds the job and wants more information, or they get the 3-pack on Google, they always get redirected to this landing page. So for a couple of reasons. One, on marketing, it's the top of the funnel, right? This is sort of like the lead generation. And so we'll take them through a funnel. The other thing is we're going to be able to track where they came from. And so they hit apply, and we have this for our clients. This is what you're going to want to do, though. Again, you can do this on your own. You want to have 3 sections pretty much to your online application. The first part is contact information, of course. This is where you want to maybe ask them to upload a resume, or you'll probably have it on Indeed. If you are using Indeed and you're not using an application tracking system like ours or us as Hire Lead Chill, you're probably not going to want them to upload it because Indeed will punish you for that. Why are you asking them to upload another resume? There's one in Indeed. So the more clicks, the more difficult, the more hurdles, you're going to get punished for that. Okay. That's why we ask our clients, do you want it required or not? We leave it up to them, but we tell them the consequences of it. We're to the point, and we are partnering with Indeed where it's automatically going to go from Indeed and upload into our application tracking system for that candidate on behalf of our client. So it's a done deal for us. So first section, candidate stuff. Second section should be the knockout questions. Are you legally authorized to work in the US? Do you have a driver's license? Whatever your knockout questions are. Maybe allergic to pets, maybe 30 miles from this zip code or 30 minutes from this zip code, whatever they are, so that when they hit yes on that, then they hit continue. Then you want to go through screening questions. And I'm not going to make this a 5-hour demo, but there are certain screening questions that we have, and there are certain things that you're going to want to screen for. Okay. I can give you one or two examples of some screening questions. We have our own questions that are proprietary. It's got a scoring system. Some answers and some questions are weighted more heavily than others because some are more important than others. The main three things that we at Hire Lead Chill think are most important are longevity. We try to uncover if they're going to last a long time or not. Is that gold or not? That's everything. Our view on that is if you're going to last a year or more, and that's kind of our benchmark, if you're going to last at least a year or more, pretty much everything's working. Or you would have quit if you don't like the job. We would have fired your butt if you weren't working out. If clients didn't like you, if you didn't like your pay, you would have quit, right? It's pretty much everything's working out if we could uncover that to the best of our ability. And I'll show you how we do it, okay? And how you might be able to do it. The other thing is your behaviors. And the other thing is your attitude. Those are the three main things. I don't care about your personality whatsoever. I don't care about your personality. So we don't have personality assessments. I don't do disc profiles, which are mainly personality. Where do you fit in the way that you are, your sort of constitution, your personality? Are you D, A, S, or whatever the hell it is, right? I'll tell you why I don't care about personality. I have hired thousands of people in my tenure here at doing all this stuff. I have hired introverts that I barely talk to that go out, clean wonderfully. Clients like them. They come back, they get a paycheck and go home. And they've lasted 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. I barely know them. I don't even remember they're employed sometimes. I love that employee. Okay. I've also hired introverts, sort of the bubbly, funny, loud, but they've gone out, they've cleaned, customers love them, they come back, maybe they do some dingy things and they go home. Both work for me. So what do I care what your personality is? Unless it's not a culture fit. And that's a problem. I don't care what your personality is. I care if you're going to last long, if you're part of our core values and culture, which are what? Behaviors and attitudes. Those are the three things that we recruit for. Okay.
Shawn, let me cut in here. I want to ask you a
Yeah,
question
come on in.
because I know you don't want to show your proprietary. That is a tough word for me.
Yeah.
It feels like a Monday. Um, for the ones who are like, I want to take some of this information and I want to see if I can figure this out and stuff.
Yep.
Should they?
I'll give it to you. Let me
Well,
give you a couple examples.
okay, that's what I was going to ask. And
Yeah.
should they focus heavily on doing questions that can bring out that culture fit? Because I feel like that's where the owners miss the mark a lot with their marketing, how their ads written, is they're not writing to attract the person that would actually fit in their culture. Like how to get that
Now,
kind of tweaked in the application process.
that's a great question. So, a couple things with that. One is the job ad, right? Let's talk about that, the marketing, the job ad. That's exactly what it is, right? So, I think I see so many times that business owners, and I used to do this too, we get so burnt on no shows and all this other stuff, or we think we hired the best employee in the world and they screwed us over and left in a week and a half. Then we tend to go back to our job ad and go, okay, we got to really qualify better. and it's a little bit different than what you asked, but you got to look like this, sound like this. The one that I love the most is you've got to be well spoken. Why in the hell do you have to be well spoken to clean toilets? Okay. We're not hiring people to recite Shakespeare. We're hiring people. I'd love a couple ain'ts and I'd love a couple acts and this and that and dialogue to whatever your dialogue is and your kind of word vocabulary and all that stuff doesn't bother me. I don't expect you to. I don't speak very well. Okay, I use the word well on purpose there. I don't speak very good. Okay, but I'll tell you what, you would have wanted to hire me when I was young, shoveling asphalt and doing landscape because I worked my ass off. All right. So you've got to be careful. And here's how I'd say it: marketing to clients on the demand side is identical to your job ad on the candidate side. I want to look at your website. And does anybody out there on their website qualify a client with, if you're a cheapskate, don't call us?
We
Is
wish we
that on your
could.
website? Why not? That's what you're doing to the job ad. You got to look like this, smell like this, act like this, right? Why would you don't do it to your $10,000 revenue, but you're going to do it to your $80,000 revenue? Yep. Some knockout questions you need. Do you have a driver's license? Things like that. Yep, I get that. But they're well spoken or this and that, blah, 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 blah. Now, and you can get there's a fine line there with culture and core values. We don't want to tell them they have to be this, have to act this way and sound this way, but we want you to wake up every morning and love to come to work. So if you're somebody that, and that's listing your core values, if you're somebody that, so for example, in real life, I've got clients, and it's not just Plata. I've got another client that basically says his culture is, if I wouldn't have a beer with you, you can't work here. That's his culture. And he does $3 million a year. And he does what? Cleans out sewer pipes. That's a hell of a culture to keep people at your business doing that. And they hang out. They have beers in their fridge after work. They have a ping pong table, a pinball machine, and all kinds of stuff going on. And they sit there and they'll have a beer or two. That's the culture he has. I've got others where their culture is more corporate. We want to be this. We want to look great. We want to be excellence. Right? That's fine to put in the job ad, but we want to do it and we want to always, you've heard me say this line a number of times and we've tested it and it works. So steal this from me for sure. Wake up every morning and love to come to work. Mm-hmm. In your job ad, it should read that. In your messaging, all the way through the spectrum of recruiting. After you're on the phone with them, we just want to make sure you want to wake up every morning and love to come to work here. Would you please schedule an interview? However you do that with your system, it should be automated. You should have a calendar that pops up. Use Calendly if you it's cheap, and it should pop up. And in there, after the automation, when they get to that point, please, we want you to know that we want to make you want to wake up every morning and love to come to work here. That's our goal for you, and it should be your goal. The other thing is, in your job ad, it should say that, but all the way through it should say that. That helps with your no-shows, believe it or not, because we've tested it. We want you to, and by the way, when somebody schedules an interview with you, however they do it, and it should be on a calendar, Google, Calendly, all cheap, some free, okay? We've got a calendar in our system. 2 things to reduce no-shows. Number 1, use that line. Thank you so much for scheduling your interview Thursday at 5 p.m. We want to make sure that you're going to wake up every morning and love to come to work. By the way, here's what we do. What to expect at the interview. It will be 0 questions and 0 stress. It will be a 20-minute presentation by the owner of the company as to why you're going to wake up every morning and love to come to work here. Oh, if I have 7 interviews lined up, which one do you think I'm going to? The one that says 0 questions, 0 stress, and why you're going to wake up every morning and love to come to work here, and it's a presentation? Or am I going to pick the other 5 that said, make sure you're on time, here's the address, don't be late, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to that one every day of the week. And then in that same email, we say this. Click the link below to find out why Susie loves working for us. If you have employees and you have somebody that you trust and somebody that's been with you for a little bit, Have them do a 30-second, 60-second thing. Hi, I'm Shawn with ABC Cleaning. I've been with ABC now for 2 years. Let me tell you why I wake up every morning and just love to come work here. I just love it here. And here's the three reasons, like family, whatever your culture is, whatever this is. And then I know you scheduled an interview. I'm begging you to show up because we need you. I need you. We'll reduce your no shows. That takes a whopping 10 minutes to do. When they show up, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit with the interview stuff, but when that, because I'm very passionate about it, let's talk about it in 5 minutes and I'll tell you how to do a group interview if we got time and you want to go through that. You'll have to probably edit the living daylights out of this because it'll be too long.
I can't. I mean, just the nuggets you're dropping left and right. Like this replay is gonna hit faster than anything else that I post because like it's banging.
Awesome.
I cannot
Awesome.
wait to get the replay up for the people that couldn't be here.
Let me give you three gold nuggets on the questions, how to screen. Okay. Take your best employee ever. Maybe you still have them, maybe you don't. What were their best traits? What was the most coolest thing about them? And phrase it like this: if you own the company, blah, 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 blah. So, for example, if you ask somebody in a job application, online application, which that's what we're talking about, if you ask them, this is an acceptable absentee policy, okay, they're going to probably sit there and pick whatever, and you've got three choices. They're probably going to pick the one that is, what they think you want to hear. So we pose a lot of our questions. Hey, if you own the company, what would you do here? If you own the company, what would you do here? You'd be amazed when we did that and tested it, how many candidates would tell you it's okay to miss 5 freaking days a month? That's 60 times a year. Okay. That ain't acceptable. But when we started to pose that, we started to get more and more candidates answering that way. If you own the company, it sort of lessens their guard a little bit. And that's a real potent way to figure some things out. And then we score that appropriately. One of the ones I want you to steal from me, please, hands down, wouldn't think twice about it. It's this: job candidate, rate your luck in life from 0 to 10. Here's the magic number. Okay. And Michelle, I'll let you chime in here in a second. The magic number is under 6.
Under
Now, under 6, there's 2 exceptions to the rule. Okay. So most people, and I'll give you the stats for us, when we had our cleaning companies and you answered under a 6, you lasted an average of about 3.5 months or less with our company. That's why I tell you this is the most important thing in the world. So, yeah, we're trying to find out if you're negative. Woe is me, victim mentality, because it's only raining on me, nobody else. So life's horrible to me, right? That's under 6. 2 exceptions to the rule. It's the only question, by the way. Everything else is a drop down menu. 2 exceptions to the under 6 rule. It's the only one we actually have to explain, and here's why. We found a trend, and I'm big on trends. And when I find good trends that are helpful and not bottlenecking and they're really doing well for my employees or my clients, I want to pour money into it. I want to pour AI into it. I want to pour things into it. If I see bad trends, bottlenecking things, we have a problem I need to fix. The problem was we were getting a lot of people answering under a 6. We were not asking them to explain their answer. And I was finding way too many people answering under 6, but rocking it out on every other thing on our application and on our scoring. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? So I said, why don't we ask them why they answer that way? Here's the 2 exceptions. Number one, and it's almost literally always a 5 or a 0. And the explanation is this, something like this: I don't believe in luck. I believe in working hard and being honest and let the chips fall from there because that's the only thing I can control. I don't believe in luck. I just work hard. I don't believe in luck, and I'll work really hard and be honest with you. If you hire me, I'm going to work super. I can't think of a better answer than that, to be honest with you. But we had under a 6. If we didn't ask them to explain, we were really penalizing people for that. The other exception to the under 6 rule we found was this: it's under a 6, and the explanation is something like this: normally, I'm blessed in life. Normally, life is good. Typically, life is great, but we just found out mom's got cancer. I'm not feeling super lucky about that. or my daughter just got into a bad accident. I'm not feeling real lucky about that. And so that explanation tells me a little bit like they've done, you got to do well on everything else too. We're not just going to give you a pass and you did shitty on everything else. But I'm not going to penalize somebody because they don't believe in luck. They believe in hard work and being honest. And I'm not going to penalize you by an under 6 score because mom's got cancer and you've done well on everything else. But we also found that those that answer under a 6, and excluding the 2 exceptions I just explained, and they didn't answer with that, if they answered under a 6, we found that they took zero ownership and accountability when things went wrong. And here's an
Mm.
example in real life in our industry. And you've had this happen if you've worked for more than 2 years and owned your business for more than probably 8 months. And that is this. I've had employees where I've got complaints from 3 different customers, and it ain't that customer where it just didn't smell good. It didn't feel clean. Not that one. That doesn't know they're just bitching about something. It's the toilets were not clean in my house. And it's 3 complaints, 3 different customers, same employee, same cleaning person. There's no doubt, and AI ain't going to tell me that that isn't our fault. Okay. That is our fault. And the under 6 employee will say this: I don't know what they're talking about. I did what I always do at everybody's house. They're blaming the customer. You probably had that happen. I don't know what they're talking about. I did what I always do. I followed the check mark, blah, blah, blah. A good employee, and I've had this happen, Emily. I haven't owned my business since 2015, but I remember Emily saying this. Shawn, I didn't want to bring it up. I know my head's not in the game. I didn't want to tell you my dad's dying of cancer. We just found out it's like stage 4, blah, blah, blah. She said, I'll go over there tonight if you want, or Sunday or something. Just tell me who it was. I'll call them right now and take care of this for you. Same exact problem happened. 2 totally different attitudes and behaviors on how they came and how they addressed it and how they reacted towards it, right? That under 6 is going to identify that shitty one compared to the Emily
Mhm.
9 times out of 10. It really, really does do that. So steal that from me, please.
Okay, I have a question because I know it popped in my head, so I know it will pop in people's heads when they're watching the replay. Okay, so they need to ask the question as a drop down, rate your luck from
Yep.
0 to 10, and then
Yeah.
have,
Yep. So we do like 0 to 3, 4 to 6, and then yeah, exactly like that.
okay, are they always doing an open-ended question next that says, why did you
Yes.
rate that? Regardless, so it's not
Yes.
like triggered if they choose 6 or below, even if they
No.
choose 7, it's still asking, why did you give yourself that rating?
Like, that's a great question. I think we have it open for everybody.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
I'm curious because that's something that I would probably logic to where it wouldn't pop up if they answered over
Right.
6.
Right.
But then you've
Yeah.
got people that will fill out applications to work for you multiple times. And if they answer something different the next time and it opens up, some people are going to remember that. And it's, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like it just doesn't give that good feeling. So I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
No, that's a good
There's so
question.
much psychology behind hiring people.
Big time.
There's
Right.
Big
so
time. When you're
much.
screening.
For a long time, we were asking in our interviews, do you feel lucky? And for one thing, it always threw people off. But, because we were asking in the interview, it did give them the opportunity to explain
Yeah.
it. But ours was, more of a yes or no type answer. And I completely agree with you with the exceptions. Like there were people that were like, no, I don't believe in luck because I've worked hard for every single thing that I've had.
Yeah.
Or, no, I've never won the lottery, but type thing. You know,
Yeah.
but there were people like you could tell so much. We revamped all of our questions and that one never got put back in, but I honestly like I
Yeah.
felt like it gave us a lot of information.
It does. It does. I always say it'll uncover the person that wins 50 million. The lottery thing made me think of this. The under 6 will find that person that wins $50 million, but the only thing out of their mouth is bitching about how much taxes they have to pay on that.
Right.
Right? That's the human being you want to run from.
Yeah.
Lord of mercy, that is my husband. I'm
That's
gonna
funny.
tell
That's
you right
funny.
now, that is my husband.
That's so funny. Let me get into real quick our kind of pipeline and some reporting that you'll want to do on your own. And if you put it in a spreadsheet. So this is kind of how our pipeline looks. Somebody hits submit, and you can use Google Forms. It's free, I think still. Pipeform, you can use that to create your online application if you don't have one. There's other Jot forms probably still out there. AI can probably help you figure that out. Okay. But when they hit submit, I want to have this, all of it automated, which Typeform does, which Google Forms does. You can automate some of these things to instantly identify if they're approved or not. And I want to send them a message immediately if they're not approved that says, thank you very much. We send a text message and an email. Thank you very much. Based on the way you answer your questions, very respectful, a lot of dignity. And if they respond to that, reply via email or text back, we want to answer that. Because I cannot tell you how many times I've talked to business owners that are not using us that said, I hardly have time to get back to the ones that I'm interviewing, let alone the ones that answered shitty, Shawn. I just don't have time. And by God, somebody got pissed off. A candidate went on to Google, gave us a 1-star review, and it was sounded like this. This company's so unprofessional. I tried to reach them 5 different times. They never called me back and they never emailed me back. That doesn't sound like a job candidate. That sounds like a client. And Google is not going to easily take that down for you. Okay. So you want to protect your Google reviews by treating them with a bunch of dignity. And you don't want people in your neighborhood bad mouthing the company because you didn't get back to them or you disrespected them. So make sure that you get back to people.
I have also
So,
seen where people will struggle with trying to do an application on their phone and will
yeah,
click something by accident, unknowingly, that will
yeah,
completely disqualify a good candidate. So if that
absolutely.
candidate reaches out and says, "Hey, I feel like I'm a great candidate. Can you explain to me what happened?" You want to catch those and be able to say, it was a mistake. It looks like you accidentally clicked something that, should have been a different answer. Let's start over. Because you can lose somebody good from just technology letting you down.
That's exactly right. I was just going to say that, Sandy, that until they are proven to definitely not be qualified, until that happens and you're sure they're not qualified, treat them like they're going to produce $80,000 of revenue for you, to your point. Now, if they do qualify, in our system, they automatically show up in the qualified interview requested column. Okay. They immediately get a text message and a email that says, "Thank you so much, Lisa. You did outstanding on our online application. We want to really get to know you better. Please click the link below to schedule an interview so that we can get you in and hopefully hired as soon as possible." That's the goal. Let's tell them that. This is like a client that is going to be a weekly client for us at $280 a week. Okay. Let's treat them like they're going to produce $80,000 for us. Now, a couple things can happen here. Crickets. Maybe they were at a stoplight, the light's red, they got the text message, the light turns green, life happens. Maybe they're at their kid's soccer game when they get the message. They were applying. That's what we do, right? We're social animals. We've got the phone in our hand always. And if we're watching 3-year-olds play soccer, we ain't really intensely watching that game. We're laughing a little bit and talking and socializing, right? And Jane, our friend, is saying, "Would you quit complaining about your job already and find something else?" You know what? Boom, 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 boom. That's how we live our lives, right? So we're going to send them automatically a reminder. Whenever you do your system, if it's got to be manually, do it. You've got to remind these people. You've got to push them. You've got to treat them like they're $80,000 of revenue, just like this is marketing, like Sandy has mentioned a couple times. It is marketing for a much higher revenue than what you're talking about on the demand side. So you've got to remind them. Now, the other thing that can happen is they have a question. My team will answer their questions for you as a client, but you need to get back to them and answer all their questions. Okay. The other thing that can happen is that they ghost you. Now, most of us out there with the attitude that we have and that perception and that ego leadership we have now when it comes to candidates and employees are going to call Lisa every name in the book because she hasn't set up an interview. How would you take the time to go on Indeed, interview, and then score well, and then you just ghost me? Okay. What about Mrs. Jones that says, hey, my neighbor uses your cleaning service. You guys seem to do really good. She told me to use you. We're ready to go. I just need to learn a little bit more about your service. And then she ghosts you. Do you call her every name in the book and then never follow up? I hope not. I hope somebody in your office follows up by email or a phone call. I hope your CRM does it automatically. And eventually she becomes a client and pays you 10 grand a year. And you're not going to do that for an $80,000 a year person? That's crazy. That's crazy. We take it a step further. Okay. Nobody does this unless they've copied it from us or they've heard us talk about it. If Lisa never does that, this happens in 10 days. She automatically gets put into the chill follow up column where we're going to send her an email and a text message every so often that just says, hey, don't forget we're still here. So we've been doing this column for about 2.5 years now. So we've got some real life experience and data behind this. And in general, here's what we're finding. Jane goes on Indeed, loads up her account, loads up her resume. Indeed allows her to go quick apply, quick apply, quick apply, quick apply, quick apply. People are now applying on average to 10 or more jobs. In 30 seconds, they can do that. We would all do that if we were doing it in Indeed, okay? Then, now remember, the only reason they're in this column is because they scored really well. So they're a good candidate. Now, they've done the same thing and have set up 8 interviews very quickly because they're a good candidate. They answered questions well. And then they showed up to maybe 2 or 3 of those, then saw your job ad. Sounded really good. So they applied. You set it up for a week later. Mistake, by the way. So now they've got to wait a week to get an interview with you. And they've scheduled it. But in the meantime, they did one more interview, and that person promised them $1,100 a week, 38 hours to 40 hours every single week, no weekends, no nights, no nothing. And their first 7 paychecks are $700 a week, $600 a week. They're barely getting 30 hours a week of work. I would tell my own daughter, honey, after 7 weeks, when they promised you $1,100 and 40 hours a week, and you're not getting anywhere near that, you're not a job hopper. Go find another job. Okay. But guess what we're doing in the subject lines of emails? Paycheck not what they promised? You got to read this. Managers suck. You got to read this. Okay. We're really intentionally marketing to them. It's a game changer. Now, clients that have been with us for a couple years, this is what they have, literally their own little Indeed job board, because there's hundreds and hundreds of candidates in here now. If you're a client of mine for a couple years, but it blows Indeed away because Indeed still has the shitty candidates in their job board. These guys screen really well. We already got rid of the shitty candidates, right? So how valuable is that? You can set that up in a spreadsheet somehow. AI can certainly help do that. Okay? Or you can pay us a couple $100 and you don't even have to worry about it. All you got to do is hire people. Okay? Any questions on that? That'll
This
chop
is
up the whole.
awesome.
It's so cool. I've worked so hard on this.
I told Michelle, I said, I cannot wait for you to see the system.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
And so another thing that can happen is that they schedule an interview. So when they schedule an interview, you'll automatically see them move over into the interview scheduled column. And they're going to get an email message and a text that says something like this. Melissa, thank you so much for scheduling your interview Thursday at 5. We can't wait to meet you. Let me tell you what to expect at the interview. There will be 0 questions and there will be no stress whatsoever. It'll be a 20-minute presentation by the owner or manager of the company as to why you're going to love to wake up every day and come to work for us. Okay. Oh, and by the way, click the link below to find out why Jane loves working here.
I love that too. Oh my gosh.
Reduces your no-shows dramatically.
Shawn, I got a question. Do you get a
Yeah.
lot of pushback from the owners on them doing a presentation?
Yep, because it's almost like me trying to convince them to do videos and content on the candidate side, no, a lot of owners don't like to get on camera. They don't know what, they just are uncomfortable. It's kind of the same way with the presentation. But once they do it, they absolutely love it. They see the value in it. It becomes fun and it's passionate when you talk about yourself. You're passionate about how you, because part of that presentation, we tell and coach our clients, tell them at the very beginning how you started the company. I've never heard an entrepreneur or business owner, after speaking with thousands of them, I've never heard a boring story on how a business was started. Never. One. And tell a funny thing that happened. Oh my God, the first one I broke something. My own company, my first cleaning, I broke something. That's funny. Yeah, right?
It
Oh my
happened to
God,
me.
you should have seen me cleaning. I was like a bull in a china shop. Me or Planet cleaned a couple of times out a lot. He cleaned when we were starting things. Drinking shit all over the place.
Oh
Yeah, we
my
were
God.
horrible. We cleaned well, but it took forever and we broke stuff.
Yeah. I stood on a chair to clean
No.
up higher and I broke the chair and the chair went through the wall.
Oh my God, no. So went through the wall too. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. And that's a great story. You're
Yeah.
you're you're telling them just who you are and what's going on. They want to hear that stuff,
Yeah.
right? And the other thing is, we all scrub more toilets than you're ever going to scrub in your life. Okay, that gives you instant leadership. That gives you, I've been there, done that. I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't been through.
Mhm.
You're going to get that instant sort of, this is somebody I want to work for. This is somebody that's been there, done that.
That's exactly so like the way that I built my business, I am not ever going to ask you to do something that I am not willing to do myself. So like we don't do any after hour cleans. So we
Yeah,
don't we will absolutely do small businesses and stuff as long as it's within our business hours. But I
love it.
don't want to work after 5 and I don't want to work on weekends. So
Yeah,
that alone when I tell people that, they're like, wow, that is super awesome that I'm not going to do anything that she wouldn't do.
right, right. And very quick before I forget, one of the things that we've done in the past too, if we were having a little bit of trouble because somebody was maybe in a very difficult labor market, maybe their budget wasn't really affordable for them in their minds at least, if not reality, that they couldn't budget more than this for boosting and sponsoring a job ad, or they were just having a tough time getting candidates. Maybe they had a lot of franchises around or something like that. We've had job ads that you would think we were hiring for a hotel, housekeeper, housekeeping, and we would put in the job ad. If you're at a hotel right now, you really need to look at this job. Imagine what a hotel cleaner sees after New Year's Eve and cleans. All right.
Oh,
How about after a bachelor party? How about after a bachelorette party? How about
even
after,
just even just a hockey tournament.
yeah, anything? Think of what they have to go through to clean that place. And when do they work? Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, nights, weekends, and they can make more money working for you.
Yeah.
That's something to think about. So I'm kind of getting off track there, but so that's the interview column here. So we want to make sure that we talk to them about all the things we just discussed. Now they'll get an automated message from us for um, a confirmation. The other thing that we want to do is our clients that use Hire Lead Chill and our Chill ATS application tracking system, they do not do a thing. They don't log into Indeed. They don't do a job ad. They don't do anything until this point. Okay. We do it all for them. We don't boost and sponsor unless they tell us we talk to them about it. We put a plan together with them. Then we do it for them. And then we manage it for them. So anybody out there that's used Indeed has probably had that $500,000, $600,000 bill, and you're wondering, where did this come from? I thought I turned this off. I didn't know you guys were still doing this because you're doing 10,000 other things. That never happens to our client. We budget daily or whatever it is. They say they don't want to spend more than this. They don't spend more than that because we're managing it for them. Okay. The only thing our clients do is show up and hire, show up to the interview and hire, show up to the interview and hire. That's your only job. So our clients will get a message at this point that says, hey, show up Thursday at 5. Somebody showing up to an interview because it's scheduled. Okay. Now, we are not at your interview, so we don't know who shows up and who doesn't. But for some of our clients, we do, because we created a QR code that when Jane shows up to the interview, she takes her phone out, clicks on the QR code, puts in her name or email, and our system will automatically move them to the first interview completed column because we know they showed up. So we don't even have to worry about that. We figured out how to automate that. The odds of you as a candidate showing up to Michelle's place for an interview and clicking on the QR code and then not doing the interview is 0%. If you're showing up there, chances are pretty clearly you're in there. That's the only way you got to the QR code. Now, if they're a no-show, we want to know if they're a no-show, because we're going to track this for you. And you should track this on your own in a spreadsheet or AI or however you want to do it. You want to know what your no-show rate is. The industry average is about 66%, 67% no-show rate. Our clients average about 50 to 55%. So it's not going away, folks. Actually, if that's based on the candidate not showing up, most of our clients have a 0 no-show rate because they do group interviews. And I've never had really anybody that said, yeah, 17 people said they were showing up and nobody did. 10 people said they were showing up and nobody did. If 10 people say you're showing up, with our statistics, you're going to get 4 or 5 that actually will show up. And I'll take that every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Any questions about that?
I guess more just a comment. So I also do the presentation, but I don't do group interviews. But here is what I do, and pretty much everything is automated. So the I have to post the Indeed ad, so that is not automated. But then they fill out a first round application, and they're automatically sent a presentation that I had created. So it's a video. And then if they want to continue on, they send us keywords, and then we send them the full application. And that's really helped. We almost never have people not show up to our interviews.
Okay. I love it.
So,
I love
yeah.
that. I love
But
that.
man, all this other stuff that you're doing in here is seriously fantastic.
Girl, he hasn't even finished going over the pipeline yet. Sit
Oh
down,
my gosh. I
grab a
can't
seat,
believe it.
grab a seat, because this is where it gets good.
I will say this, that you want to make sure that the timeline between the day and time that you ask them to schedule an interview
Hmm.
and the day that you hire them, the shorter that is, the better chances you're going to have of hiring them. The longer that is, and I'll give you a piece of data. If they click on to schedule an interview and a calendar pops up and they don't have any availability that is less than 3 business days or less, you've increased the odds of them not showing up to the interview by 60%.
I would agree with that. We've had people, it shows all of the availability, but we want them to do closer. So when they do, say it's a Monday and they schedule for Friday,
Yeah,
um, I have my hiring manager reach out to them and say, hey, I have availability now.
yeah,
Like, can
I
we
love
do
it.
the interview now?
Perfect. Yep, absolutely. The other thing that I can show you real quick, and this is a little bit of AI stuff too. Anywhere on our system, if you click on the candidate, it gives you a summary of who they are and what they're all about. You got their email, you got their phone number, you got their score, you got whether they're great, I think it is, good, or terrible.
So
Anything in,
is this score based on the proprietary questions?
yes, yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
So here's a couple examples. We don't give the questions here because I don't want my clients going deep in the weeds of give me every question. I want to understand them. I want to understand every answer. If you have time to do that, you probably don't want our system then. So go do it on your own, which is okay. But everything green you pretty much don't have to worry about. So for example, how do they like handling repetitive work? That's what they're going to do. Top to bottom, left to right, scrub the toilet, dust, vacuum, right? They actually enjoy it. So that's why that's green. If it's brown, we might want to look at that one. If it's red, we definitely want to look at it. So it gives you a very high level view. And there are a number of things that aren't green. That's why they only have a good and not great. Okay. Or
Makes
strong, I think it is. Not great, but strong is the other one. Most of our strongs aren't going to have a lot of variance from green. These are the knockout questions. They answered all of them yes. They would not be able to finish and complete if they didn't answer the right way. They won't show up on the dashboard. If you don't have a driver's license, I'm not going to waste my time interviewing you. Okay.
right.
So we're on this candidate and we're trying to get the high level view. So it'll read the resume and just give you a summary of the resume. So that way you don't have to read the whole thing. The summary will include some job history stuff, tenure patterns, which plays into that longevity that we're trying to figure out, experience in the role or not. And it's related to your job ad. So it knows what the job ad is too. So that if you don't want experience, it'll say, this one doesn't have experience. That's what you want. If you want somebody with experience, it'll say, hey, here's some experience here. Related comparable work if you want. Sometimes we, frown if somebody's working maybe at a gas station or something. Some people don't want that. Some people are okay with that. And then does it match your values and your culture? Anything in the resume pop out that talks about your culture and your values? And then this part here, what stands out, what to watch for, culture fit, identity stuff. We kind of double check to make sure, does the resume address match what they put on the application? Is there a name difference? We're looking for goofiness in there if people are doing something. Maybe they're moving and that's something we don't want. So that'll kind of detect a few things like that. And again, it's just information. You use it as you wish if it fits your recruiting. We're just trying to give you the best information we can so that you can make good decisions for your company. It takes about 30 seconds once you get used to this to almost totally understand a human being you haven't even met yet. The last thing I've talked about, if the applicant withdraws anywhere along, a no-show is a withdrawal. Eventually they move into applicant withdraw. Maybe you offered them the job and they declined it. Applicant withdraw. So that's SATCOM. We talked about she'll follow up the bench. We used to scream loud from rafters, we'll get you so that you're never short-staffed again. And after COVID, Platt and I sat together and Platt is so good with this stuff. And he says, why in the hell are we satisfied with just being fully staffed? We want people waiting to work for us, man. We want them lining up out the door. That's what the bench warmer is. I don't just have a list that's qualified. That's the chill follow-up. We haven't met them yet. We haven't interviewed them. We don't know if they are, and we don't even know if we'd want to hire them, but they scored good. So that's valuable. A bench is somebody that we're continuing to interview even when we're fully staffed. And we're telling them at the end of the interview, and Sandy, about that question about do clients push back a little bit on the presentation? You should hear the pushback we get before we help them coach through this. What do you mean I'm going to interview and then tell them that there's no job opening? What are you, nuts? Right? And I understand that. But what if rather than saying it that way, we said something like this? Remember, we're doing group interviews. And after a group interview, typically one or two people will come up afterwards and everybody else leaves and, hey, thanks, that was great. See you later. We'll follow up. There's one or two a lot of times that sit there and go, I really hope I get the job. I really love the part of that about this. I really love the part about that. By the way, you fed them and you served them and they're feeling comfortable about things. And now they really love what they heard and they scored well. Will you please tell me what else in the God's green earth you need from this human being to offer them a job if you have a job opening? I don't know what else the hell you want. You want them to go away and get the job offer they just got on their voicemail from your competitor? Do you want them to go to the interview? Do you want them to find something else? Did you ever have a time where you knew you were going to want to hire that person and they left your door and you couldn't wait to call them in the next day or two to find out they got another job? Okay. Why would you do that? Now, if you're fully staffed, the conversation goes like this. Hey, AJ, we're constantly hiring, we're growing, all kinds of things are happening. We're always interviewing because we never know if we're going to hire the person we interviewed yesterday. We just hired some people. There's really nowhere that we can hire you right now. However, if you say you want to work here, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to get you working here. I'm going to increase our marketing. By the way, AJ, if Susie breaks her ankle tomorrow, I'm grabbing you by the arm if I have. I'll pick you up if I have to. I want you to work here if you want to work here. Okay. One day you're going to work here. If for some reason you get another job, remember we're at like 96% of people working. It's like 4.1%. Literally, that's the job report that just came out. Okay. Yesterday, I think it was. 4.1% of them are not working. I don't want you to be that 4.1% in hiring you. I want the one that's got a job, that's been working, that the resume shows that they're working. Okay. Unless you're off maternity leave, I don't want to hire you if you've been sitting around eating potato chips and watching Netflix. It sounds like I just described myself on the weekend, but that's a little different. So remember, they're probably got a job. They're just not happy. They're the ones that were promised $1,000 a week and they're getting $500 a week. Okay. They're just not happy somewhere. So we're telling them now, I've got clients that listen to what we coach and what we train and what we tell them to do. The ones that execute at the highest levels are telling them what I just said. You will work here one day, I promise you. They have hired people 4 months after interviewing them. Plata has hired people because he uses us to hire account managers for his bookkeeping business, Best Damn Bookkeeping. Dan's hired people 5 months after interviewing them. We have a meeting every Tuesday, the business owners. Dan, I, and Michael Gregory met today. And we were talking through some of this with Dan. He goes, yeah, I just hired somebody. I forgot all about him. Couldn't even remember anything about him. They just called up and said, hey, I was going to respond to the email you just sent me, but I thought I'd just call you. Anything happening? He's like, by the way, yeah, actually, let's talk again because he was just about to tell us to start boosting and sponsoring job ads again. I just saved him $300, $400 because that's what it cost him to hire somebody good. He's probably going to hire this person that was on the bench for 4 months. Between the chill follow up, between the bench, you will be relying and spending much less money on Indeed over time with us. And that's what this system is. It's not a reactive recruiting thing like we're all doing today. It's about being proactive. It's about never being short staffed. And it's about being ahead and having people waiting for you. Guess what that does, by the way, to the people that are working for you? Your A employees don't care because they're A employees. But that person that slips down after a while, I say it like this. A basketball team has 5 starters. They look at the bench and there's nobody on the bench. They're going to turn into a B player sooner or later. That's human nature. Your A people are pretty much A people. But if something happens in life, a divorce, their kid has autism all of a sudden, they start dating another guy that's not a good guy, okay? We change. I'm not the same guy I was 5 years ago. None of us are, right? I hope I'm not the same guy 5 years from today that I am today, okay? People change. When you get that person, okay, they're going to have to look over at the bench. If nobody's sitting on the bench ready to take over their spot on the basketball team, their starting position, they're not working at more free throws. They're not going and waiting and doing weights. They're not dribbling with their left hand. They're not practicing anything. Why would they? If they look over at the bench and there's 5 people foaming at the mouth ready to take their job, okay? Again, your A employees aren't so worried about it because they're A employees. But if somebody's thinking about not calling in work or if they've done that in the past, that's going to change their attitude. They're going to quit quicker than what they would have, or they're going to turn into an A employee. That's typically what happens. I let everybody know we're constantly interviewing, even when we don't need to hire, because I'm not going to be short staffed. Instead of being short staffed, that C person knows, so they don't care and they're showing up late. You don't want to fire them. You're short staffed. You're probably 3 people short staffed. I can't fire anybody. Those are the business owners that are not sleeping at night. Those are the business owners that are worse wives and husbands. Those are the business owners that come to work and hate it. Those are the business owners that are screwing over the rest of their employees that are A employees because they're overworking them now. Or they're cutting corners to get through the day or through the week. That's screwing over your client. Over 1 or 2 C employees, you're going to allow that to happen? Are you crazy? End that. This is how you end that, by chill follow-up and by the bench. That's a game changer. You want proof? Let me show you a report of one of our clients.
I love that. I didn't even think about how it makes your C players step up or your B players step up.
Yep. Yep.
So, that's definitely where we've been in our business is that, you know, we I should have fired somebody 12 times by now, but I never did because we don't have somebody else to take their spot.
Yep.
I
Yep.
Man,
And
like,
I
oh,
want real quick before I forget, because I know Shawn's kind of wrapping up on all of this. Something else, Shawn, I want you to cover so that it is in the replay, because I asked you on the call that I had with you, and I know it's a question that's going to be asked, is what happens when you've got Sally Sponge, she applies, maybe she makes it past the deal breakers. And then we do the interview with her and she's just not hitting it. She came in as good. She didn't come in as great or strong. But her attitude was poor. Whatever reason, we don't want to hire her. We don't move on with her. 3 months from now, Sally Sponge is gonna apply again. This is one of the biggest issues that
Yeah.
even with the owners that have some kind of automation built into their system, they just cannot remember all of these people's names. And I think this is where Hire Lead Chill does something that like it's just not easy to automate on your own. So cover that a little bit
Yeah.
too, please.
Sure. So with us, if you have the same name, same email, um, phone number, okay, and you've applied already and we've declined you, you can't apply again. We leave it up to our customers, actually. Some say they can't apply again. The only way that they'll make it through is if they change their name, their phone number, or their email address. And some can change their email address. It's kind of easy to do, but most aren't going to do that.
mhm.
Some of our clients are okay after 6 months or something like that, or after a year. Maybe their life's changed or whatever. But if you don't want them to reapply, our system won't let you unless you change your email, phone number, and name. Gone, deal. We call this the chill capacity chart. So I wanted to come up with something where a business owner can look in 10 seconds and understand where you're at with your capacity in your business. Okay. So if you look at this, we're going to know your current employee, what's fully staffed look like. We call a panic number. If you start moving towards that number, you need to start boosting sponsoring or something. Our account manager will be talking to you about a strategy on what's happening and how to fix it. Okay. That's a panic number where you're not sleeping at night. The closer you get to that, that's a problem. The system, as we set this up, and our clients don't even know this unless I tell them this, we've got reporting and email alerts that come to my team and me that predict when a problem is going to happen before it becomes a problem. Our clients don't even know the number of problems we're solving for them before it becomes a problem. For example, application flow has decreased X amount. That is a potential problem that we're going to know before you really even understand it and know it. And then we're going to be able to look at a couple things. We might be able to contact a few of the candidates. We might automatically do some things. We've actually got it where AI automatically will fix some things for us. And it tells me on a report if AI fixed it or a human being fixed it. And you never even see it as a client.
Something else, something you said made me think about it too. And this probably isn't normally part of, oh, Michelle's cord is dying. Okay, so if you disappear, we know what happened. Um, I don't think you covered it a whole lot. And I do want you to talk just briefly on this because two of the owners that I've worked with that recommended us to get in touch with you, that are clients of yours, something that I heard with both of them is that person on your staff that is managing their account, which they have high regards
Yes,
for this person. I'll let you decide whether you want to how much you want to share about that, but
sure.
that is something that I think the owners should know is that you're not signing up for something and then Hire Lead Chill is going to handle all of this and you're just not really going to know what's going on. There is that human in place to hold your hand and to help you and to say, hey, we're starting to dip into panic, things like that. So I want them to
Yeah,
know that
I
is something
appreciate
that's
that,
also
Sandy.
built
Yeah.
in.
So Nicole, she was the general manager of my cleaning company for 5 years. She ran and grew and operated that company, professional house cleaning services, for 5 years. We had 40 some technicians. I sold it. I would have never been able to sell it in 2015 unless Nicole was the general manager of that company. Now, I told you that was 2015. What is it today? 2026. Nicole is still with me. When I sold that business, I had ropes around her. I drug her everywhere I went and said, "You're going nowhere. We need you. I don't care. I don't care if I start a fruit market. You're going to work for me. You're not going anywhere." Right?
I'm telling you, I think that was a good grab. I haven't had the opportunity to talk to her, but when I talk to people that, owners that are your clients, like they love her. They
She's
love her.
phenomenal.
It
Yeah.
makes all the difference with getting into something like this and kind of stepping back and trusting a system. Like she makes
Yep.
that difference.
Part of her responsibility is, and it's automated, I'll tell you that, but you'll get an automated message every single week. We're checking in. How's it going? Check these 5 things out. If a client responds to that, Nicole will respond by email. And if it's something where you need to talk, you need to just email an answer, or you want to get on a Zoom, she'll do that. So, yep, the follow up is automated. If you don't respond, what are we going to do? So that's why we automate it. If you respond, Nicole is going to get back to you. And if you need to get on a Zoom, boom. You will always have my calendar link if it's something outside of what Nicole's either scope is, or you want to just talk about something. Shawn, I'm really having a problem figuring out how to catch walleye. I'll talk to you. If I got a room on my calendar, book it. I'll talk to you about that. If you're having troubles at home with the husband, the wife, the kids, I've talked to countless business owners about that type of thing. You want to talk about ego and perception. You want to talk about how to let things go. You want to talk about the things you control and don't control in life, and why you're beating yourself against a wall thinking you can control your kids and your husband's behaviors and attitudes. It's impossible. You have no control over that. Okay. I can talk about thousands of things. Let's talk about why the job ad isn't working. You think it is, and that's fine with me. I don't care. You always have access to me for anything in that regard, as long as I've got space, and I'll bump a demo every day of the week for a client. The last thing I'll go over is the reporting. None of us have this. We record it for you. How many applications, how many qualified out of that, how many set up interviews, how many showed up to the interviews. Look at the show up right here, 40%. What I tell you, industry average is 65%, 66%. Not my clients. How many did you hire? Okay. Total ad spend, cost per application, cost per qualified, cost per interview. The one you need to take a real good look at, cost per hire. Okay.
Wow.
I'm watching Michelle's face for this part.
Oh my gosh, this is just incredible.
I,
You can
I, I
filter
know
it by daytime. You can filter it too to see how you did last year, this month compared to this month, this year. Okay. These are just KPI things that, how many. So obviously she's doing phenomenal. Obviously, look at her chart here. She's got 7 people waiting to work for her.
Wow.
And okay, so that must mean she has no interview set up, obviously, right? Let me push the interview button here.
Oh
She
my
had 5.
God.
She had 5 today. Okay.
Oh
Over
my
$1 million
gosh.
of revenue. Over $1 million of revenue. She came to us with 2 employees 3 years ago.
I do not do our hiring KPIs because I have a hiring manager. So
Yeah.
she does the hiring KPIs. But actually, I just recently started tracking the client acquisition cost, and it never dawned on me to do a client acquisition cost for cleaning techs.
Yep. Yep. And it's powerful because the name of this business is capacity and demand, right? It's like a factory. If I have the X amount of cleaner or X amount of clients and cleaning slots, if you will, and I've got the perfect amount of cleaners that can take care of that business, including employee turnover, including sick days, including vacation days, okay? And those two match perfectly. That's when you make the most money in this industry. Period. End of story. Done. You're done. When you're overstaffed, people make a little less money because they get less hours. When you're under, I think I said overstaffed. When you're understaffed, Clients suffer. We're running through, we're trying to cut corners, we're not getting, we have to reschedule, all that stuff. When it's
And everybody's feeling
perfectly
burnt
matched,
out too.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're burning out your A employees, all that stuff. So when you're, that's the name of the game. So imagine when you know exactly what it costs you to get one new client. We know what that's, what is that, 22 cleanings or something like that, maybe? I don't know what it is anymore. I can't remember. You'll know how much it's going to cost you to hire one cleaner to take care of that one client. When you know the cost of those two things, magic starts to happen.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and
For
you think
sure.
about it, like with the sample that you had on the screen, I think it was around like $300 to get that tech, and they're worth 80,000.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
just let that sink in for a minute. Compare that to the cost that it takes to get a client and the 10,000. Like,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer that, and I teach this in the training workshop, is that it kind of supports your employees are the powerful tool in the business,
Absolutely.
but you've got to keep them happy, and that's the only way that quality is going to stick.
Yeah.
You look
Yeah.
at everything from the hiring process through the training process, through getting them in the field, through building up their schedule, and then providing the service. It all comes down to, can that person provide a quality service? Are their
Yep.
quality checks coming back as, meets standard? And the importance is, I've got these owners that are sitting in this. I am getting so many complaints. We're going out and doing quality checks and they are subpar. They are not meeting the standard. And trying to get the owners to understand it's in the onboarding and training. This
Yeah.
is where it's failing. They're not learning how to meet that standard consistently. There is,
Yep. What are the biggest things that we see in surveys is when new employees are surveyed in the blue collar industries and the home service industries that we serve, almost always the number one thing that they want is confidence. Period. End of story. If they are confident, they're comfortable. That's what we want. We want them to wake up every single morning and love to come to work. When you're comfortable coming to work, it's a lot easier to want to come to work.
and
It's about confidence. So if they're not trained and then you try to discipline them over something and you haven't trained them, no, it's hard enough getting a new job and feeling comfortable and trying to work your way in and get understand the lingo, even right, the acronyms. Even those little things are important to make them comfortable. Why do you think I think it's a good idea to have them come in and somebody's at the door greeting them when they come in for an interview and you're serving them food and coffee and or an energy drink and water? They're a lot more confident and comfortable in your home. Your first impression is your home. You're inviting them to come see you. Treat them like an $80,000 human being.
yep.
It's a game changer. They're more confident right from the start. You're making yourself different from anybody they've ever interviewed with.
I recently heard actually by having a cleaning business, you're actually not in the business of cleaning. You are
Right.
in the business of training.
Yep. I
Yes.
say it like this: you happen to own you're in the business of recruiting great employees. You
Hmm.
just happen to own a cleaning company.
Yep, exactly. And then so my husband owns a business too, and like for a long time they were like, why are we spending all this money on training? They're not going to stick around anyway.
Right, right.
But what if they do?
Yep.
So it was like this light bulb moment for him that he was like, but if they do stick around, we need them to be doing a good job,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's a really good takeaway too.
But
So,
recruiting is nothing more than a spectrum, just like marketing, right? And at the end of the marketing spectrum, you've got two human beings called prospects or client. At the end of the recruiting spectrum, you've got two human beings called candidate or employee. And basically, the same tactical things are pretty identical. You're selling a job instead of a service, right? And so the one thing is we're just taking every bit of the spectrum of recruiting, job ad. Okay, how do we write the best one? The next step, okay, great. How do we screen them? Okay, the next step. How do we make sure that they show up to the interview? Okay, the next step. How do we pull the trigger? Which one do we hire? The next step. We train the living daylights out. You're just increasing the odds of finding a human being that's going to be with you for a year or more, producing over $80,000 a year. That's all this game is.
Right. This is,
I'm done.
you have
Anybody that
blown my
wants to
mind
talk to
today,
me,
Shawn.
I'm gonna tell you,
thank
Shawn,
you.
this was so good. This was so, I
Thank,
mean, like I was so
thank
thrilled
you.
after you did the one-on-one with me and this the nuggets, the quotes. I want to do a graphic to post on social media that says this was such a great event. Here are the top three things that Shawn said. Core values is the constitution of your business. Thing two, shit happens. Then we tell a story.
Definition of life. Shit happens, then you tell a story.
Yep, yep.
Treat candidates like they're going to produce 80,000 in revenue. Like I've just been right. I'm like
I I was
the
over here
best
doing
one lines in here.
I was over here doing the math on that. And I'm like, 80,000, is that really right? Yeah, that is spot on. I was running the calculator for multiple different scenarios that I've been in. Yeah, that is 100% spot on.
This is so good. Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Shawn.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it so much. Now, quick question for you.
Sure.
The replay, once I get the editing and stuff done, I'm gonna get it sent out to the registrants first. They get, priority. And then I will have it added to YouTube and I'm going to add it to the resource hub, which means it's going to live in forever out there.
Right.
So, how do you want me to handle the QR code? Is this always good? If they're
Yeah, this will always be good. It's specific for our Rescue My Maid's my maid service tribe. It's your tribe. It's
okay,
only for them. And so this will be alive forever. If for some reason it's not, just reach out to me on Facebook or whatever. But I don't see a reason because I even set it up as a separate category or event. It's called in Calendly, which I use
hmm
specifically for you guys.
okay, awesome. All right, good deal. Thank you so much. This was great.
And I can tell you some price range stuff just so you're comfortable setting something up with me. It's anywhere between $147 a month upwards to $497 a month, depending on what service you want to choose and what you're up to, and a little bit about how many you're going to hire and some things like that. No long-term agreement, stop whenever you want to stop, month to month, so you're never tied into it.
Yeah, that's something too. I meant to tell you to make sure you mentioned it's not contractual. You're not signing up for a software for a year or anything like that. All right, awesome. Thank you
That's
so
it.
much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. I do. I appreciate it so much.
I
Shawn, it
appreciate
was
you
so
guys.
great to see you again.
You too, Michelle. I'll see you in about 3 weeks, maybe, or a month.
Yeah.
About a month, I guess.
About a month, yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Y'all are going to see each other soon. Michelle,
Yes,
can you hang on for 1 minute, please?
I sure can.
All right, guys. Take good care. Have a good night.
Thanks, Shawn.
Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.